As a part of that, and I think Robert might have mentioned it this morning, but I really like to talk with people about it because I think it's really interesting, and that as an Oregonian or going through the landscape, sometimes understanding a place has been preserved in the naming of places, and people don't realize that it's all around them, and that basic TK. So if you're out on the coast around Tillamook country and you see Ne, N-E, it often can denote place, the place of something. So like Neskowin is the place of the small fishes, as I understand it, or like a smelt run. The Nechesney River, which is we call the Salmon River today, but the Nechesney people, Chesney is my understanding, is salmon, so you have the place of the salmon. So this is something that you can look at Neoconi Mountain. Connie is spirits, the place of spirits. You kind of get these understanding of place. It's the same in the Willamette Valley, where you'll see CHA, CH or TCH. So Chehalem Valley, Champoeg State Park. Champoeg is the place to dig yampa root, right? It's very specific in our cultural understanding of place. Chehalpam Creek, right? I had no idea that there's a Chehalpam Creek, and I found it so interesting when I conveniently printed out a USGS map at 1 inch to 1 mile, and we had it posted on the wall, and I was looking at it and went, holy cow, there's a creek called Chehalpam Creek, and that literally means the place of the Santiam people. I'm like, the Santiam Kalapuya people. This is just this understanding of place that gets preserved. How many farmers, have property on Chehalpam Creek that don't know that it's a place of something? So you can start to understand these connections to landscape.
Not to be overly simplistic, and most of these guys are fishermen, but I doubt if they would expose their favorite fishing pole. and this is actually where this is at. I mean, it is that sense of ownership and survival and all the things that are contained in that. And I think it's a totally rational approach to resources.
Yeah, and this is as a connection on that idea, and one of the descriptions that I try to give about this idea about space and how people can have these truly intimate connections to place. So a good place to gather camas is a good place to gather camas. Bringing in the camas example. So if my parents gathered at a camas patch and my grandparents gathered at that camas patch and they ate the camas that is growing in that camas patch, and that camas patch became more abundant over time, and then I go to that same camas patch and I gather camas, but now my grandparents have passed on, my parents have passed on, I'm essentially communing with the plant community that my ancestors communed with, and so there's this intimacy of connection that is extremely real about place. And not only that, but if that camas patch doesn't do well, I'm disrespecting my ancestors because of the obligation that I have, because it was important to them, so it should be important to me, and that there becomes this reciprocal relationship between that plant community and our family or our people. And so when you start to build that, one of those understandings in place, it can become this really, it's like a multi-generational fishing pole, right? We don't have the floods of '96 to blow out the rivers, so you have to learn them all over again, right? And that's the other thing, is that it can change, right? But there's a sharing, like that big flood that happened that completely changed the river. Well, then that father maybe learned that whole river all over again, and then they went and they taught either their really good friend or fishing buddy or their son, and that's like their information to have because that whole river changed. And so it does allow for change over time, these sort of understandings about connection to place, but it can go back really, really far into time and be very meaningful.
I think that message is going to resonate really strongly in this room. To take what you said a little further, like, our favorite spots to fish, we're not putting on the internet and telling everybody about, but like, the places that we go to do these things are so special. And while it's different, because I don't have 2,000 or 3,000 years of history or 15,000 immemorial, but it's still the places that I take my kid or my dad and I have fished, or I take a really good friend. This message is it's loud and clear, it really is.